to use watercolor, this is how you should set up your space. You have plastic palette, which should be close to the bucket of water. So if you're on the left side, this is on your right. So when you're going from water to tray, you're not dripping across your project paper. And then your color palette stays on the black tray. Both you and your neighbor can reach that from the black tray. This is where you're painting from. We do not paint from this tray. I know we're all guilty of it, but the paint's way too thick. If you paint straight from here, you need to water it down. That's why it's called watercolor. You need to add some water to each color. So you take your brush and just drag your brush along each color. So a brush full of water ends up in each color. We're not using brown or black today, so you don't need to add water to the brown or the black. On my first ornament, I chose to paint yellow-green. So I'm going to pick a space here in my palette, get some water, add some water, a couple brushfuls of water into one of these empty spaces, pick up some green, clean my brush, pick up some yellow, add some yellow to my green, and my ornaments, they're supposed to be shiny. So I'm leaving a little white space. You can draw that white space in any shape you want, but you need to remember not to paint in that white space because that's where the light from the surrounding is shining on that ornament, making it shiny. So we need it to be white. There's no white paint, so you leave the space the white paper. So yellow-green across the whole ornament, and I need to shade it. The shadow is going to be on the opposite side of the highlight. So shadow is going to be down here, and I'm shading with the complement of yellow. The complement of yellow is violet. So clean my brush, water into a new space, pick up a little violet, mix it into the water. That's really dark, so add a little bit more water. And with that violet on my brush, I'm just going to paint a little curve here of violet, and I'm going to let it just bleed into the yellow-green. I'm done, don't touch it. Clean my brush, go to the next one. My next one is blue-green. So water into this space. When you clean your brush, don't tap it on the bucket, it ends up splashing. Just gently wipe it on the edge. Blue. And clean my brush. Green. Again, leaving that highlight, that white space. Light's reflecting off that really shiny ornament. It's going to have a nice white space on it. Blue-green. Shading, what's opposite of blue on the color wheel? Orange, shading with orange. So clean your brush. Every time you got to clean your brush. We don't want to cross-contaminate the colors in the paint palette. You do your mixing on your own palette. A little bit of orange. Again, just one little line here. Let it bleed into the rest of the ornament. Last, red violet. Clean my brush. That's a lot of violet. I'm gonna pick up some more red. There we go, it's a little better. Leaving the white space. And opposite of violet, or actually opposite of red, is green. So I need some green to add a shadow on this edge of my red violet ornament. When you're done, brush needs to be cleaned back on the tray. All 4 papers from your table are going onto one board and onto the drying rack. To clean your palette, you're going to dunk your palette in the bucket, flip it over, dunk this side, take paper towels from the middle of the table and dry this off. You're not done just after dunking it. You need to actually dry it off. Dry it, put it back into the middle of the tray. Newspaper, if there's a class after you, you're leaving it. If it's really messy, you can throw it out and get a new piece. But if it's still pretty clean, leave it for the next class.